Tony Britt Spotter Charts serves sports media exclusively with customized cheat sheets for both prep and game time. Serving over 350 clients at all major networks, 23 NFL teams, and 68 college football programs, including Division II, Division III, and NAIA schools. Variable pricing ensures that small schools receive the same VIP service as ABC, CBS, ESPN, Fox, NBC, and the NFL Network. Welcome to the Viking Press Pass. I am Matthew Nickel, and joining me tonight, offensive lineman for the Vikings, Ben Hartman. So, Ben, thanks for joining me here tonight.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, well, let's start a little bit with where the Vikings are at. 3-1 overall, 2-1 here in the conference. The team went up and played, spoiler alert, to North Park's homecoming this year. A little redemption from their 2 overtime win at our homecoming last year. But both games, back-to-back years were decided by 3 points. So, what were just the thoughts and kind of the sentiment from the team and the coaching staff coming out of the game on Saturday?
Just that, it was a hard game. We knew it was going to be a hard game, especially from last year. So, I'm definitely proud with the way that the O-line played. I think we played pretty well. But just the fact that it was a hard-fought team win, right? Our defense had to stand up at a couple chances and make some big plays for us that put the offense back out on the field so we could run the clock out. But for a little bit there, it was a little rocky. We were going back and forth. They would score, we would score. They would get a stop, we would get a stop. But glad to come out on top. Definitely what we wanted, and especially after last year's loss. This is where we want to be right now.
Sunday night I was talking on the Voices in the Stands podcast, and I was talking with David Soliday, who's an alumni of North Central, and we were talking about some different teams that are I'd say kind of on the rise to some degree, or they're certainly improving. It feels like North Park is one of those teams that's improving. Did you notice anything about how what's been going on within their program, how they've played? Do you kind of feel like they have been a team that, going up, winning by 3, it's probably a lot closer than I think historically we would go up and play against North Park. But the last, back-to-back years, it feels like they've certainly improved. What are your kind of thoughts just generally on how North Park is, in the division so far?
They're definitely getting better. Thinking back to my freshman year, they were one of those teams that we went there and we're like, oh, we have a very good chance of beating them. We knew we were better, especially in the last 2 years. Yeah, they've got some guys who have definitely improved, and yeah, overall they're just becoming a better football team, which I think is good. More competition in the conference is fantastic. It gets guys to play better, right? It's not like you're going out there thinking that, oh, this is an easy win. Nothing's easy here. You're going to, you go out there, you play as hard as you can, you win. If you win, you win. So
absolutely. Yeah. Definitely. Now, kind of taking part of that and going into switching gears a little bit around your situation, because I'm curious to see, once we kind of talk a little bit about your offseason injury and the timeline and all that stuff that you've been working through. But I'll be curious as well just to kind of see your perspective on how that's changed a little bit this year, just as a player turned kind of semi-coach a little bit. But let's walk the viewers a little bit just through maybe your injury, kind of the timeline, and how the rehab has been going, so far.
Yeah. So last year, I want to say end of May, we were probably 2 weeks out before we went to the Greece and Italy trip over the summer. We were at practice. I was running a regular screen I had done 100 times. Set my footing bad. I turned back in on my left side, and my ACL and meniscus went. So I waited to get surgery until after the Greece and Italy trip. So I did a lot of prehab kind of stuff before that, and then I walked around Greece and Italy with a brace on somehow. And then as soon as I got home, I mean, within 6 days of getting home, I went straight into surgery. Um, the first 6 weeks were definitely the roughest, especially with the meniscus. It kind of made it to where I couldn't put any weight on it for 6 weeks. Because I think usually with a regular ACL, after about 2 to 3 weeks, you can start walking around. But I was 6 weeks using crutches. I had the brace on. I mean, there wasn't really much I could do other than lay in bed and ice it and go to
Yep.
rehab every day. Um, and then I got back up here early August before camp, and I was finally walking around, able to kind of do some stuff. And then I've been doing rehab here ever since, and it's going great. I'm really enjoying the guy I'm working with in Pico here at Augie. Um, I mean, well, I've been running for a week or two now, which has been good. I'm able to kind of do some more footwork stuff. So it's definitely been good. I mean, the injury overall sucks, and it's kind of rough that I can't finish out my senior year with the guys I came in with on the field, but I'm definitely glad to kind of step up and be this assistant under Ragone. I mean, he's one of the best coaches I've ever known. I love the way he treats his players. And it's just really cool to just kind of see things differently coming from a player to now a coach, where, you have, especially in for me, I have some experience, so I know what the guys are going through. And now I can actively, try and help them become better using my own experience. So it's just, while the injury itself sucks, I am kind of glad to be stepping up into this coaching spot and doing what I can to help our guys.
When you think about game day, you think about during the game, um, aside just from practice, how have you been kind of tapped into the game a little bit differently? You know, you're are you looking for, new and different things in terms of like technique that when they come off the field that, you're trying to help them with as opposed to, you're on the field giving Ragone or giving feedback right on what the defense is doing. Are you now starting to see yourself switch to watch, our linemen's technique and things that they're doing on the field? Like, how's that perspective changed for you, this year?
Definitely, this year has been more. I've been at least more technique focused. So, like, especially against North Park, there were some things we were doing that it wasn't kind of working. So, like, thinking about how I would have done it, or
Mhm.
like what I would have changed, kind of helped me kind of push our guys to switch up a few things and to kind of work at things at a different angle. So, it's not like a, one size shoe fits all sort of things. I mean, there's multiple different techniques that you need to use in different scenarios. And then another thing I've been looking at is how the defenders we go against play. There's certain tells and certain things that guys do before they're going to make a move. So I think definitely cueing our guys into those sorts of things gives us a little bit of an advantage, especially like in the pass game, like what maybe a DN does before he decides to jump inside and make an inside move against one of our guys. So it gives us that, I guess, little bit of advantage against that guy.
No, it makes a lot of sense. It's just interesting, to do you kind of just sit back and think a little bit about, you know, how you're looking at the game and kind of approaching a game? Just, are you much of a reflective person and just kind of sitting back and just and taking some of that stuff in a little bit?
Oh, definitely. And I mean, I was like that as a player too. Like last year, we'd come off the field and I'd take the tablet and I'd look and see what I was doing. And I was definitely looking like, yeah, I could look and see what I did right, but I was more looking for what I did wrong and how I could change that in order to, make it better and be able to win every rep as I could.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about the JV team, because I think you've been helping them quite a bit on game day too, as well, right?
Yeah, I have been. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, the JV team is 4-0. I mean, that's actually where I pulled this picture from. I think this was the Monmouth game this past weekend, but um, and I always like to take a look at what the JV team is doing just to understand, what does depth look like over the next kind of 2 years. A 44-0 win versus Co, 34-16 at Loris, 35-0 win versus Clark, and then this weekend a little bit tighter, 14-7 win, down at Monmouth. Um, Tell me just a little bit about how that JV team has been doing. How the offensive linemen kind of performing. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think our JV guys are really good. Like even though they're just some freshmen and sophomores, they're really taking in what we're teaching them and getting away from what Ragone calls it's like Harry high school habits. So really like getting up to that next level of where they need to be. And I mean, I love JV in general because it lets me connect with our younger guys, and it kind of Ragone allows me to step in a little more as a coach at the JV games more than he does at the varsity games. So I love it because I mean it's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So it allows me to kind of go out there and be, I guess, that head guy in a sense.
Mhm.
Plus, those younger guys didn't know me as a player; they only know me as the player coach or Ragone's assistant. So, them coming up and asking me, what they need to change and what they need to fix. And I'm able to sit there and be like, okay, well, what if you try this or what if you do that? I really love it. So I'm having a good time with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, are you the one really kind of leading the sideline discussions then with the O line more so than like Ragone or anybody else, during the JV games?
Yeah. Some of them, especially the past one at Monmouth, the Ragone wasn't able to go. So it was me and Zach Michaels, who's a junior this year, is also hurt. And we were kind of the head O line coaches there. So like, they'd come over, we'd sit on the sidelines, we'd talk about what happened during the drive, what we could fix, what we need to do. And it was really like those conversations that like Ragone has with the varsity guys every Saturday, sitting there, talking about what the defense is doing and how we can fix it, or, what different techniques we can try out. And it's just fun in my opinion, just because I get to connect with those younger guys. Plus, I'm building my coaching resume in a sense about being able to help those guys.
Absolutely. Who are some folks kind of rising in the ranks on the JV team, just more broadly, whether it's on the O line, on the offense, on the defense? Who are some folks that, you've seen kind of stand out so far, with this first 4 games?
A couple of linemen would be Nate Conrad. He's a freshman. I'm trying to think about where he's from. I can't remember. And then another one would be Ryan Peterson, who's also a freshman. And then we have a running back named Nate Mangiarini, who he reminds me a lot of Mikey DeGoya, if you remember him.
Yeah.
He runs like him. He puts his shoulder down, runs through a defender. He doesn't stray away from hitting a guy. And then there is a freshman linebacker named Cole Bauer, who he just loves to hit people as hard as he can. So I mean, yeah, it's really cool just to see those guys that are going to be here for a couple of years and that are going to make an impact.
Um, I was a little curious too, because I've seen a lot more technology on the sideline, especially over the last, 2 years or so with tablets and just the rules loosening up here a little bit on what the teams can use. But it looks like Augustana has also just continued to kind of invest in sideline technology. What are some things just tech wise, that are on the tablets, that you guys are looking at and kind of working through, during the game?
Yeah, so the tablets are great. They connect straight to our film. So right after a play happens, usually within 25-30 seconds, that play comes straight through onto the tablet, and we can immediately start looking at it and see what happened. And I mean, it's great for the guys when they come off the field because there could be something they missed up earlier in the drive, and it's a 95-yard drive that takes up, 15, 16 plays. and you can still sit with them on the bench and have them look at what they messed up and have them be like and talk through talk through it with them about what they can fix. So the tablets are really really cool, and then just the film in general in the last couple of years has seemed to have like a huge increase. Like especially like we have a drone, and the drone shot is always great because I mean it shows everything.
Mhm.
So especially football IQ wise for like a tackle like I was, when you look to your right side, if you're on a pass play and, there's two wideouts, but now there's three defenders with an outside linebacker kind of scooting out, you kind of have some sort of thing in your mind that maybe somebody's going to come off the edge that you have to keep a look for. So using that drone shot along with the tablet just helps out a lot.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how we get the drone shot built into the broadcast. You know, I remember it was a couple years ago. I think UMHB or Hardin Simmons, one of those two, during one of their live. It was a night game. They did a drone shot, over their stadium down in Texas, and it was super cool. Um, but it'd be pretty. It's just been awesome how so much technology, has been kind of influenced into the game. And, we're now kind of broadcasting or pushing our stream through Huddle TV. And I'm like, man, how can we figure that out a little bit more? And be able to bring in some of those plays and some of those wider shots just to, make it a little bit more higher in production. So, um, well, hey, let's talk a little bit about um, you as a history education major. Um, there's been a few folks I would say between it's either like finance or there seems to be a lot of football players that are history education majors, or maybe just because who I've interviewed. I mean, like Hugh Keeney. Last year he was a history education major. There's a few others that I'm just kind of slipping my mind, but tell me a little bit about why you chose that field specifically.
Yeah, so I knew I always kind of wanted to go into education and be a teacher. That's what my mom is. And I mean, I grew up in her classroom. I'd go with her on her days to school. I'd go with her on field trips. I mean, I have memories as a kid back before when we lived in around Peoria where, I would be in her classroom. I'd sit under her desk on her phone or something while she's teaching a class. So I had always kind of wanted to become a teacher. I didn't know what I wanted to teach. She teaches English, so I thought about that for a little bit. And then kind of in high school, I had a couple really good history teachers, and I really just fell in love with it. And so that's kind of what pushed me towards history. Plus, I like looking at the past and seeing what happened and the why did this happen, and then how it can also influence us in the future. So yeah, that's kind of really what pushed me towards that.
Is there a particular period of time in history that you gravitate to?
There's not really a particular period. It's one thing I really enjoy is like European history.
Okay.
I like American history, but European history, in my opinion, is just it's really cool to look at, especially if you look at it from the early days to now. There's so many changes that happened in that area that just kind of influenced the rest of the world. And
Mhm.
it's just kind of really cool to see where like some of those starting points were.
Now, Augie has a lot of partnerships locally with schools. Have you student taught somewhere or done like your co-op, anywhere locally here?
Yeah, so last year, last year second semester, I did my co-op at John Deere Middle School,
Okay.
and
Yep.
then this year I do my co-op this semester at Pleasant Valley over in Iowa, and then
Yep.
that's where I'll do my full-time student teaching next semester. And I'm with Rusty Van Wetsinga, who's the head football coach at PV as well.
Yep. That's gosh, one of the best linebackers for the Vikings to ever play. So,
hmm
um, yeah, someone I think Hugh actually was connected with him. I think last year too. PV is a great school. Great. great academically, phenomenal in terms of wrestling, football, basketball. Gosh, all their sports are just really good. So, um, but awesome. Well, in other news, when I originally had reached out to you, you had just got engaged to your now fiance Zoe. So, I saw, you had a little eventful summer, right? You spent time with your family up in Lake, am I going to say this right? Shatek.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, you popped the question to Zoe, so which rings beautiful. Out kicking your coverage there, but we all do, so that's great. Walk me through like start to finish, how you planned it, what was the prep like the day of? Because my man, you set the bar with it all. And then whoever it was that was taking the pictures for you. Had a really cool poem and kind of shared, her experience, outside looking in,
Mhm.
knowing what was happening. So kind of walk us through the whole thing.
Yeah. So I'd originally thought about proposing, oh gosh, I would say last year, second semester, before spring ball even started. I kind of figured that, summer was going to be the best opportunity to do it. And then I had talked with my mom about it, trying to figure out, what kind of ring and all that sort of stuff. And then I ended up tearing my ACL. And so then when that happened, I was like, okay, well, am I going to wait now or am I still going to try and do it? So then I went through everything with the ACL, got surgery and all that. I was laid up for 6 weeks. And during those 6 weeks, there would be times where like she would go to work or something and I would sit there and I was on the phone. I was, calling jewelers, talking with my mom, talking with her mom, trying to find, exactly what she wanted and all that
Mhm.
stuff. And so then finally, right after I was able to start moving around again, there was a point where she goes to school up in Aurora. So there was a point where she had to go up there for a couple days for her internship that she's doing right now. So when she went to school up there, we went to the jeweler in town. It was me, my mom, and her, and yeah, my mom and her mom. We went up to the jeweler in town. We were there for I don't know, an hour and a half maybe, talking through what we wanted to do. And what I ended up doing was I used the diamond from my mom and my dad's ring as the actual stone and her ring, and then got that all sorted away. And then right after that is when we went up to Wisconsin. And so the entire time we're in Wisconsin for about a week, I'm trying not to tell her. I'm trying not to spoil it to everybody, making sure nobody's saying anything about it because that's what I was worried about the entire time. And then I was, the jeweler had told me that it could take about a week. So I was thinking, all right, maybe I'll get a text or an email while we're up in Wisconsin. It'll be done. We'll get home. I can do it right away. We get home for about a day or two. I haven't heard anything from the jeweler. So I'm like, oh no. I was like, what happened? I was like, why isn't it ready yet? So then talk to them and they're like, okay, it should be here in a couple days. So I went, my mom picked the ring up for me on August 4th. So then I had it then, and then we went to, it's called Eckert's. It's in Belleville. It's a little farm, and so we went there and we picked peaches, and I was really adamant about going at a certain time. She wanted to go earlier in the day. So the whole time I was like, no, we have to wait and go until this certain time. And she was like, well, why? And I was like, we have to go at this certain time. I was like, there's no reason other than we just have to go at this time. And so then we went, and somehow it was me, her, and the photographer that we hired were the only people that were on the little wagon that goes out to the peach field. There was nobody else. So the whole time we're on the wagon, I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I hope she doesn't ask me who this lady with a camera is. I was like, because then I don't know what I'm going to tell her. And so we get out there, we pick peaches for a little bit. The photographer's kind of hiding in between bushes, hiding behind us to make sure she's not seen. And then finally she turned around, and I don't know how I did it. I somehow got down on one knee, and I proposed. And then we took some pictures afterwards, which were really nice. And then it was really great too that the photographer was the same lady that had taken my senior pictures in high school. So I had already known her, and I was kind of scrambling to find a photographer too at the last minute. And so I was just glad that she was able to be there and able to help. So yeah.
So was she like really surprised? Did anything kind of tip her off of like, hey, this is maybe coming? Um, what was Zoe
I
thinking?
don't know. I don't know how she didn't like guess that it was happening, especially from the fact that we've got a couple picture frames that we've talked about getting updated and going to get pictures. And so my big meaning behind it was like, oh, we're gonna go out, we're gonna just take some pictures. So I somehow convinced her to dress up, and I never dress up when we go out and do things because I'm a t-shirt and shorts kind of guy. And I'm the whole time I'm like, how does she have no idea? I was like, we never do this just like randomly. And then I was I also had no idea how she didn't think to wonder why there was a lady there just taking random pictures
Yeah.
on a random day. And I was like, and then yeah, no, I mean she had no, I don't know how, but she had no idea. And then as soon as I put the ring on and everything, we stood up, took a couple pictures. She turned around and looked at the photographer, and she goes, "So that's what you're here for?" And I'm like, "Yes, this is. She's here to take our pictures." I was like, "There's a reason she's here."
Man, that got you brownie points for a long time, my man. So,
Oh yeah.
um, so wedding planning, like, do you guys have a date picked out yet?
We don't have a certain date picked out. We're thinking sometime not this summer, but the summer after, so about a year after.
Okay. All right. You guys gonna try and stay, kind of down near like the St. Louis area, or have you talked much about that?
We've talked a little bit about that. We're looking for places that are usually around there, just because that's where a lot of our family and friends are from. And I actually think in December over Christmas break, we're gonna go tour a couple places and see if we can get one kind of locked in.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it. That's awesome. Well, congratulations. That was awesome to hear. Um,
Thank you.
way to pull it off. Way to pull it off. So, I mean, keep saying that you set the bar. You set the bar with that. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, gosh, mine was like I was so spontaneous with it. Like I had the ring, but I literally, I was coming home early from a meeting I had from work, and I just remember both of my boys were with my in-laws, and so I said, you know what? I just texted them and said, "Hey, can you basically stall? I'm gonna do it today." And it was a complete random day. Um, I went and bought. We always did these like Nerf gun fights. And I would come home from work and she'd have a bunch of water pistols and a note, and you're under attack, and we'd do all this stuff, all the time. And so that's basically how I proposed, where she walked into the backyard and literally, just tons of like Nerf guns and a whole obstacle course set up and just, random stuff like that. Um, I think someone thought I was psycho because at the time, gosh, was it Toys R Us at the time? Were they still around? Um, I end up, stopping and buying like 10 or 12 different Nerf guns and to like set this all up. So
Yeah.
you were much more methodical than I was. So well played. Well played.
Yeah. It was definitely a little hard just because like the summertime is when we're around each other the most. So just trying to get everything figured out and trying to do it when she wasn't around was like definitely the most difficult. And the fact that I mean I don't even know how I got down on a knee. I think yeah, there were a couple days at like my PT place over the summer where I had to practice getting down on a knee so that I was able to because of my leg.
Well, you do what you got to do, man, when things
But
like that, are that meaningful. So that's awesome. Well, lastly, what's been, outside of that, what's been maybe a favorite memory, or two over the course of your, Augustana career?
That's a good question. Um, Favorite memory would probably be getting the opportunity sophomore year to start in the Isthmus Bowl game that we went to. That was really cool. That season was really fun just in general. As a sophomore, I started the year off at tackle. And then because of some injuries, I ended up playing left guard. Don't know how. I hadn't played it at all. I barely knew what I was doing. But I was out there playing it as hard as I could and to the best. And then I went out there and started the Isthmus Bowl game. Unfortunately, for some reason, my stomach got the better of me. And by, I think, our third drive, I was on the sideline throwing up from who knows what. And trainer pulled me for the rest of the game. Um, Other than that, though, I don't really have any specific memories. It's just more or less the guys that I've met. Like the guys I'm living with now, it's Nick Hogan, Brett Holcomb, and then we've got another guy named Caden who we've known for 4 years. And we're all kind of from around the same area, within an hour from each other. And I mean, these are guys I'm going to talk to for the rest of my life, and that I'm going to get with on the weekends, hang out with. So it's just the guys I've met here have just been really cool, and I've really just enjoyed, having time with them, going out and doing things, especially for me coming from not really a small town, but about a medium-sized town where, I mean, I'm 25, 30 minutes from St. Louis, while here in Rock Island, I mean, I'm 10 minutes from just about anything. And just it's a new place, and it's been really fun.
Um, Gosh, Nick Hogan. So that's the infamous backyard setup I've heard about. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Well, lastly, as we wrap things up here, if there is anyone in particular you'd like to thank, family, friends, coaches, any shout outs you want to make, any final thoughts you have, um, I just want to say the floor is all yours.
A couple shout outs would just be my mom and stepdad. My stepdad's been there for me my entire way from playing youth football. He coached me all the way up till now. I mean, he's been with me through every step of it. And then my mom has been there for me. My fiance Zoe. I mean, I don't know what I'd do without her. She's always supporting me in any way that she can. Especially when football season's a time where, because we're 2 hours away, we don't really get that much time to talk. We do as best as we can. Coach Ragone for getting me here in the first place. I don't know what I would do if I didn't go to Augie. And then yeah, just I guess a last little thing is, I don't know if you knew this yet, but I'm coming back for a fifth year, so I'll be back next year.
That was going to be a question I was going to have for you offline. See if you were possibly going to try and come back. So that's awesome, man. We'll be excited to have you back next year.
Yeah,
Yeah, you mentioned your mom Amy, stepdad Craig, tremendous people. Um, I've had a lot of fun, with them out at the tailgates and dinners and Craig cracks me up. Um, you know, we'd get talking about just, coaching football because I'm coaching my sons, and he would talk about how he would coach youth football and stuff like that, and kind of coached and worked with you up through, I think, up through high school too, right? Um,
um, yeah. So he was my youth football coach all the way up until eighth grade, but I mean, he was still there for everything. And I mean, at games, he would send me texts on his phone, and so after the game, I'd have like 6 or 7 texts from him that would just tell me, things that he noticed. And then in high school, sometimes he would, just for fun, I guess, work the chain gang. So there would be times I'd be on the field and I'd hear him yell something from the chain gang. So he was always
Classic.
he was always finding ways to try and help me and to try and make me a better player. And I mean, hell, he's made me the player I am today.
Well, surrounded by tremendous family. You're a tremendous person, so appreciate taking the time tonight and connecting with me, and certainly good luck this weekend at Elmhurst on Saturday, and then again hosting Aurora here at home on Sunday. And the one thing that I'm like, I really want to go and watch some JV games on Sunday, but both of my son Cooper's team, we always play at either 1 or 2 o'clock. So it's like that's literally when the JV games are. So I'm hoping this is their last weekend. I'm hoping I can catch I think they have 2 more, right? I think there's 6 total. At
Yeah, I think we
Ambrose.
have another one. This one's at home, and then I think one at Ambrose.
Yep. So which is right down the
So,
street from me. So well, awesome, man. Well, hey, thanks again for connecting with me tonight. I certainly appreciate it. And good luck at Elmhurst on Saturday.
thank you for having me.
If you like today's episode, make sure to subscribe to the Viking Press Pass. 4 letters, 1 year, 4 letters, 1 more. Yay!